Yes.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm going to pull up the screen. My name is Mary Ford. I am the Executive Director of the Down Syndrome Association of Northern Virginia. And that was Stacy Engels, our Programs Assistant. We also have on the line our IT Manager, Anita Ferris, and she's going to be in the background for today, unless she's needed. And we are very excited to be presenting and introducing to our members the Easter Seals group of Southern Maryland. Is that the right way to say it?
DC, Maryland, and Virginia.
DC, Maryland, and Virginia. That's right. You're right. I'm sorry. I forgot. Okay, so we've invited the organization, reached out to us and said, hey, during this time of, there's so much focus on, or we're forced into the virtual mode, could we have some time to share with the DSA&V members what we do, the type of services we offer? And so we jumped at the opportunity. And so they have brought some of their program managers. They're going to take a few minutes each to introduce the program, talk about what they do, the services they provide, how they support families living in Virginia. Obviously, our members are concentrated in Virginia. We have a few outside, but the majority are in Virginia. Each program manager will will make some remarks, and then we'll take a few questions, and then if there's any time at the end, we can take general questions. Liz, I'm sorry, what is your last name?
Barnes.
Liz Barnes is going to be the lead presenter for the Easter Seals group today. So welcome, Liz and team, and I will let you provide an overview of what you guys are going to cover.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. So hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Barnes. I go by Liz, and I am here to help moderate our awesome colleagues today that we're going to be highlighting some of our programs for Easter Seals, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. A little bit of history about Easter Seals. Collectively, as an organization, we have been around we're celebrating 101 years. And it's interesting enough, yeah, it's pretty amazing to think about. And for Easter Seals, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, we've actually been providing services since 1933, and we were started as the DC Society for Crippled Children. And so a lot of people, when they think about Easter Seals, they think about only little kids, but it's pretty awesome because we have so many affiliates through the nation, and we have international partners in Australia, Mexico, and even Canada. So we've bridged a large terrain, and because we're so kind of vast and far apart, we are able to focus our services directly for our local communities, which is kind of a benefit for all of our Easter Seals. So a lot of people think, again, historically, oh, it's only for children. But DC, Maryland, and Virginia, because we're located and situated where we are, we have the opportunity to make such a large community impact because we are blessed with the opportunity to serve such a diverse population. And so with that, I will turn it over, and we have our first, one of my colleagues that I work with very closely is Tara Phillips, and she's a Senior Director for Child Care Operations.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I am Tara. I oversee the Easter Seals Child Development Centers, and we have 4 located in the metropolitan area. There are 2 in Maryland, Silver Spring and College Park. There's 1 in DC, in the Columbia Heights area, and then there's 1 in Falls Church, Virginia. Each location serves children between the ages of 6 weeks and 5 years old. And each location is also accredited by the National Association for the Education of Young Children, also known as the NAEYC. And basically, this is an organization, a national organization that really has 10 standards in particular that we meet that defines quality in childcare. And so all of our centers have NAEYC accreditation. The thing that makes Easter Seals Child Development Centers unique is that we have an inclusive childcare program. And some of you may hear the word inclusive a lot. It's a little popular nowadays. However, most places don't do it the way Easter Seals does it. So inclusive to some organizations means that if your child is not typically developing, you can bring them here, they can go into a classroom, and they'll be in the classroom with children who are typically developing. But at Easter Seals, we see that very differently. So if you have a child who is not typically developing, they go into the center, they go into a classroom, and they don't just go into the classroom with typically developing children, but they become part of the classroom environment. So that means that if they are non-mobile children, then we make space so that they can utilize whatever equipment that they have. If they are unable to sit in a high chair, then we provide the equipment to help them sit up or to teach them to sit up. So our inclusive environment will look very different than most environments because we will have lots of things in there that you may not typically see in the classroom. So that's what makes us unique, and that's what I believe sets us apart from most child development centers, because not only are we able to accept children who are not typically developing, but we will make sure that they are engaged in the classroom activities. So sometimes that means taking furniture out of the room, and sometimes it means putting furniture in the room. Sometimes it means changing the types of toys we have in the room. And sometimes it means adding additional teachers to assist with those children who need additional assistance. So that's what makes us unique. And if you have any questions or additional information for the child development centers, I'll be happy to answer it.
Like Mary has a question, and if everybody else, if you're not asking a question, could please remain on mute. That'd be really helpful. Thank you.
That does help. So my question is, you know, I have two children, one with special needs and, you know, one with an intellectual disability and one not. So I could register the child without a disability any daycare anywhere. Right. Never had trouble with that, but not, in fact, the vast majority of daycares would not even take my son, so with intellectual disabilities. So my question is, what are the ratio in your centers of kids with disabilities and those who do not have?
Sure. So each center is a little bit different. I'll tell you that our location in DC has the largest ratio of children who are not typically developing. I think they are about 28%. The other locations, the percentage is somewhere between 12% up to about 20%. And again, because we are an open enrollment environment, that will change throughout the year. So our goal is to not have more than 20% of children who are not typically developing in any one classroom. So that makes us a little unique as well, because sometimes that means that we have to open a new classroom for the same age group. Sometimes it may mean that we have to place you on a wait list until we can, a child ages out or ages up, so then we can bring in the next child. Again, with the inclusive environment, once you go over 25% in a classroom, you actually become what's known as a self-contained classroom. So you're no longer, you're no longer an inclusive environment. Now you become almost exclusively special needs.
Right, and that has its own detrimental things.
Yes, yes.
Gotcha.
And the goal is that children learn so much from their typically developing peers, way more than what we can teach them, way more than what happens in physical therapy. Just the natural curiosity of trying to be like your peers is really valuable. And so in trying to maintain that balance, we try to not have, and there are times when we go over the 25%, I'll be honest with you. But usually that happens when we don't have the correct information from families. Yeah, so some families are very honest and very open with us at registration, and then some of them, you know, for their own reasons, they keep things to themselves and they aren't as open to share.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sure.
Do you have any other questions?
Question. I have a question. Is the program operating during COVID, the child care program?
Yeah, 3 of our locations are open now. We started with Falls Church, actually. They opened first. We all closed down on March 16th. And then the Falls Church location reopened on June 8th. Then the Silver Spring location reopened June 22nd, and the DC location just reopened on September 8th. The Nara location, the College Park location, is still closed because it's inside a federal building, and the federal government has not given us permission to reopen at this point.
Excellent. Anyone else have any questions? I have a couple of questions if nobody else has any. Okay, so we kind of talked a little bit, and actually Mary touched on intellectual disabilities, but what other types of disabilities or special needs does the Easter Seals Child Development Center support?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Sure. What kind of disabilities or special needs does a Child Development Center support or have?
So right now, the majority, I shouldn't say the majority. No, I guess I can honestly say the majority of the children in our care, the special needs is autism. We have a growing population of children who have been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. So you'll find that there is a combination of those who are on the spectrum, and it's considered mild, and some of them are considered severe. The other, in our DC location, we have a different variety of special needs. Some children are medically fragile, and that location actually has 2 nurses on staff. So that location will actually have a different type of special need that they work with. The other locations, we may indeed have children with some medical fragile components, a feeding tube and things like that. And if there is not a need for a nurse, we don't have a nurse on staff in those 2 locations. So, you know, if you have a need for a nurse and you can't go into our DC location, then that may cause an issue for us. However, there are some families who have been able to provide the nursing care when they enroll their child. So every place that we, and again, going back to how we are kind of unique, we work with families. So if you have access or resources that we don't have, then we invite you to share them with us. We found that it's it's really easy to work with a family who has resources and who shares those resources with us, because then when we reach out to the different locations, they're happy to give us more information. And they're, you know, many of them come into the centers. Right now, coming into the centers is a little bit difficult because of COVID-19. We have a lot of restrictions, especially in the DC area. But the other locations, we actually have therapists and services happening in the location and outside the location as well.
Wonderful. All right. Are there any other questions? All right. Well, that is perfect. Thank you so much, Tara, for sharing all about the Child Development Centers. This is a nice segue into our respite program, and I'm going to introduce my colleague, Brooke Kaiser, who is the Senior Respite Director.
Thank you. Okay. Can everybody hear me? Okay, great. So we have 3 aspects to our respite program. For those who do not know, respite is a temporary break of caregiving duties. It's across the lifespan, so it could be for a newborn or 55 and better, as we like to say. Part of our respite program is we provide in-home respite care for Navy families who are active duty, who have at least 1 child with a special need or disability. That can be from any disability. That could include autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, genetic disorders. We have children with mental health issues or challenges, feeding tubes, ventilators. We see it all. And part of what we do is we do the initial family intake with the families when they come on. We also do all the vetting of the respite care providers who will go into their home and provide that much needed break of respite care. Respite can take place in the family's home. It could be at a school, at a center. The parents can be home while respite takes place, or they could be out doing an errand or attending a doctor's appointment of their own. Each family can have up to 3 respite care workers in their home. They have to go through a lengthy process of background checks, screening, interviews before they can even begin in one of our families' homes. We cover all of the Maryland, DC, and Northern Virginia area for our families, and this program is birth through 18. And also siblings are included within that respite care for Navy families who have been grandfathered in. And this is paid for by the Navy, and we contract with Child Care Aware of America. And we have had families who have been in the program for 11 years, and they have had the same respite care providers for those 11 years. And even when some of our families retire or they move, our respite care providers still work with them or visit them for vacations. What's been really nice is, when you have a child with special need or disability, especially if you have more than one child, it can be very difficult to go to a doctor's appointment. And our respite care workers can go with that family to the doctor's appointment. So mom or dad can focus with the doctor on one of their children while the respite care provider is spending time with their other child. They can help on school field trips, anything like that, physical therapies, which has been a great asset to our active duty service members. The other branch in our program is one Saturday a month before COVID. We would hold a respite program at Easter Seals in our Silver Spring location. So we would use our Child Development Center and our Adult Medical Day Center. And that's where each child is matched one-on-one with a trained volunteer for the day. And that allows the children to meet other children. It allows the parents to have that much needed break to go home and just take a nap or attend to household chores or errands. This is open for children with special needs and disabilities, along with military children and our little warriors. So those are children whose parents have been injured in war. Due to COVID-19, we are not currently doing in-person weekend respite, but we have changed to providing our families with monthly kits. So every month we do a different theme. We did a fall theme. We got pizza kits where all the families got to decorate their own pizza, and it had arts and crafts in it. We did a Halloween theme kit where every child got a pumpkin. So it's lots of hands-on things that the family can do together as a whole unit. And then we also have our Little Warrior program, and that's where Tara and I work together. And that is for any child whose parents have been injured in war or combat. And they can attend any one of the child development centers at a reduced fee or scholarship or no charge. And they can also attend the weekend respite program as well. So that's a very brief summary of the three programs.
Oh, that's awesome. And Brooke, I have to say that even with your program, I know specifically the activity kits have been a great hit throughout. So I think that's really exciting and a way that we've been able to be creative and pivot, in this time, and also be able to support some of the families in their homes to, not sit their kids in front of the TV for any longer than they need to, and not have to then be creative and think about or get the items all together and wait for Amazon to come with all their craft ideas. So that's awesome.
Also mention, Liz, that we have expanded to essential personnel. So that could be firefighters, officers, medics, to support them as well, especially during this time that their families are going through changes as well.
Fantastic. I have a question.
Mary has a question.
I have a question. I'm sorry, the screen froze at my house for a minute. So maybe you covered this, but it sounded, from the part that I heard, it sounded like your services, that you have some services available for all ages, but it sounded like it's really only for military personnel. Is that an accurate statement? Is this strictly a military funded and?
Right, the in-home respite program, that is strictly for military, Navy families specifically. And the Little Warrior program, that is for veterans of any branch or any service member who has been injured during war or trainings or things of that nature. The weekend respite program is for civilian families, military, veterans, and Little Warriors. So the weekend respite is opened up to everyone. And that's typically, we do 6 months to about 9 or 10 years old for in-person, but due to the kits that we're doing monthly, that age can increase.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure. Are there any other questions? I have a question, actually. You had mentioned, Brooke, a lot about, respite services for the military families that are in home or maybe could be at a center, or, just to, provide some support and let the families go out and kind of take care of themselves. But I'm thinking about vacation. Can the service providers actually go to another state and still provide the support for the military families?
Yes, that is a great question. So we have many of our respite care workers go on vacations with our families. We have one who was with their family for 8 years, and for 8 years she went on a Disney cruise that was sponsored by the military, which was amazing, and they had such a great time on that. Or even we have families that just want to take a day trip. or do it overnight, and our respite care workers can go with them on that. So it's really flexible how they can use this program, especially if, you know, they have multiple children with special needs or disabilities, and, you know, one child wants to go on the beach and the other one just wants to play in the pool. That way the parents have that extra hand. So yeah, their respite care can follow them wherever, especially if there is a relocation or a deployment and the spouse wants to meet the service members so that their children can see their dad or mom during that time, they can fly with them as well to do that.
Okay, that's great. And then I have another question that's in a way kind of related, but when you're talking about the service providers and like the longevity that some of the service providers actually stay with particular families, is there a possibility, dependent upon how many hours the families receive, that you may have more than one care provider, just dependent upon or shared scheduling? Because I know that providers and anyone who's providing a direct service, really, it's a tough market right now.
Yes, so families can have up to 3 of their respite care workers in their pool, as we like to call it. And if at any time they feel that maybe, you know, if one of the respite care providers moves, then they can add on another respite care worker provider that has been through the process. So yeah, we have lots of families that use 3 respite care ones. Some use 2, and some really just use 1, especially during COVID, to limit any exposure. All of our respite care workers are required to wear masks while they provide that respite care. Some of our families need every weekend more, so that they may switch between 2 of their respite care workers so that their main one doesn't get burnt out. We are seeing a lot of need for our respite care workers to help with virtual school, especially when we have our families who have multiple children with special needs. It's very hard for one parent to help, you know, provide one-on-one for their 3 triplets, for example. So that's been a huge help. And the idea of this program is that the active duty service member maintains military ready, that they know that their family is being supported and they have that much needed care.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other questions? Okay. So it's interesting that, you know, I shared before that each affiliate is able to kind of diversify and support the community need that they're in. And since we're kind of in the military world, I'm going to turn it over to the outreach manager for the Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic, sorry about that, Mallory Lass, to talk about the services that they provide.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mallory Lass, and I'm the outreach manager for the Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic at Easter Seals. I kind of joke that it's a long name because we do a lot. We provide confidential, high-quality behavioral health services to the entire military and veteran family. So we see a veteran as any person who's ever served in the United States Armed Forces, even if just for 1 day, including the National Guard and Reserves. So that's regardless of time in service, role while in uniform, combat experience, or discharge. We offer individual, couples, and family counseling. Those individual counseling services are for both children and adults of the military family, or again, the veteran or service member. For those that come to us, we do not need a referral. We have case management resources available if additional services are needed. We offer medication management in addition to our counseling services. And currently we're excited. We've just expanded our telehealth. We've always had telehealth to DC, Maryland, and Virginia, but we've just added on West Virginia as well. For the family, we do see family as defined by the military service member or veteran. So that can include dating partners, married couples, parents, adult children. That list goes on and on. Whomever that service member identifies as family member, including caregivers, are eligible for services with us. We also understand that mental health is much more than just therapy and counseling. So we love offering additional programs and workshops such as art, yoga, mindfulness, stress management, sleep enhancement, theater. That list goes on as well. Some of those events are open to the general public, such as our yoga and mindfulness. And right now, everything is being offered in the virtual space. Again, so we are a mental health clinic. We offer services for a variety of mental health issues to include depression, anxiety, PTSD, adjustment issues, anger, grief and loss, family, couples counseling, and much, much more. I'm excited to say that we are client-focused and evidence-based, so everything is based on what the client's needs are and what their goals are for treatment. We are located in the Silver Spring office for Easter Seals, and we try to have flexible hours and availability. Our goal is to remove barriers to care any way that we can, but again, excited to share telehealth services to anybody in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia.
Thanks so much, Mallory. Does anybody have any questions regarding the Stephen A. Cohen Clinic? I try to reserve all of my questions for last. So, okay. So I'm excited to also ask, because I think that, you know, I'm downstairs in the same Silver Spring office and whatnot, but I think that I'm impressed also with the fact that you guys provide, not only you eliminate the barriers to trying to access behavioral health services, but you guys also provided a lot of other support services that are kind of, you know, ancillary services that we do to support the family kind of holistically. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the food pantry and the kind of the different drives that you guys do, because I think that's something that's really special that we do, because it's not just, you know, their mental health and their well-being that we're focused on.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, we understand that mental health is truly a whole person, whole wellness concept. And so we try to help any way that we can. We do have a clothing closet to offer clothing for veterans in need. We have a food pantry and deliver food to our clients that are in need of food assistance. Anything that we can do to help mitigate any concerns, we're happy to help. And that's why we also have a case manager on staff. So if there's something that we don't have in our office that a client or family needs, we can have them speak with our case manager, who can connect them to local resources and make sure that everything is taken care of to our best ability.
That's great. And about how long do people stay in treatment at the clinic? Is this a short-term or a long-term type?
So that is a great question. Thank you so much, Liz. So we are considered a short-term facility, meaning we work with individuals based on their individual goals. For that reason, we typically work with clients for about 6 months to a year. If a client needs more long-term therapy for more lifelong mental health illnesses such as schizophrenia, where there's not a direct goal, we would refer them out to long-term care. So again, we're not going to be like, sorry, we can't help you, good luck. Instead, we'll have them work with our case manager to find the best and most appropriate services for their needs.
Wonderful. And then I think a question always with behavioral health services is payment, and how anyone is able to pay for mental health services. Where does Stephen A. Cohen Clinic stand on that?
So our clinic is a nonprofit clinic through, of course, Easter Seals and the Cohen Veterans Network. As I mentioned, we want to remove all barriers to care. So we do work with some insurance companies. However, if anybody has a concern with payment, unable to pay for any reason, or has any type, or doesn't have any type of insurance, we will work with them and have scholarships available to cover the cost of care.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Did I pique anyone else's questions for Mallory before we go on to the next? Okay. All right. Thanks, Mallory.
Of course.
All right. And next, I would like to introduce Lori Armstrong, who's our Ticket to Work manager, and she's going to give us an overview of the Easter Seals Disability Staffing Network.
Good afternoon, everyone. As was stated, my name is Lori Armstrong. I am the Ticket to Work manager at Easter Seals DC MDVA. My department is called the Easter Seals Disability Staffing Network. The acronym for that is EDSN, or Edison. What we do in our department is we work as a contractor for Social Security Ticket to Work program, where we provide employment support services to people receiving disability payments at no cost to them. It's a free program. So to be eligible to participate in this program, a beneficiary of disability payments needs to be 18 through 64 years old and in current cash benefits, currently receiving cash benefits from either supplemental security income and or Social Security disability insurance, otherwise known as SSI and or SSDI. The types of services that we provide are for our employment support services are resume writing, job search, job placement assistance. We do interview skill development. We help people apply for jobs with the application assistance. We help them get through their assessments. We've even gone as far back as to help people even create email addresses and to show them how to send and receive emails, help them sign up for different types of employment search accounts, set up, register for those, upload information that they might need. We help them understand how earnings may impact benefits and also the work incentives that are in place to protect their benefits if they go to work. And the department consists of a certified benefits counselor so that we can help beneficiaries feel comfortable as they transition back to work. Our goal is to help people decrease their reliance on receiving disability cash benefits, but we just really want to help people feel that they can go to work, understand that everybody is entitled to meaningful work experience, and help them understand that they're that's possible. We do advocacy. We work with helping people understand any accommodations that they might need, and we also just work to help people feel comfortable in going out into their community and having a meaningful experience within employment. We've been this is one of the newer programs at Easter Seals DC MD VA, just about 2 years old. And we've been fairly successful at finding people employment and helping people transition into employment. One of the main things that we hear back from our clients is that we are very personable. Somebody always answers the phone. Somebody is very supportive, and that we're just there in every kind of sense to support them. So it's not just employment support, it's a comprehensive type of support that's needed in order to have people feel comfortable in even attempting to go out and try to work out in the workforce. I mean, if it takes us to help them figure out their bus schedule or their train schedule, or how to ask for time off through their online account with their job, whatever it takes for someone to feel comfortable in their attempt to go and test their ability to go back to work, that's what we're here for, and that's what we've been successful in doing. It's been, we're still a smaller program, and we're expanding and growing, but again, we've been very successful, and we've gotten very good feedback from our clients because of our of how personable we are and how we treat each client as an individual and not a number. So we take pride in what we do, and we're really excited in expanding this program and working with people with disabilities and helping them find meaningful employment and further their lives, and helping them reach their employment goals and show that they can do whatever it is they want to do.
Thanks, Lori. Do we have any questions for Lori? Okay, so I have a couple of questions because I know a little bit about the Edison program, and one of the original kind of, I guess, thought bubbles that came up in our minds was a lot of the providers that are outside of Easter Seals work so diligently to prepare somebody to be job ready. So not only does Edison do folks and help support folks that are looking for employment, and they're returning to the workforce, but it could be first entry. It could be their first opportunity for employment. And, you know, all those service providers are working so hard as a job coach, one-on-one, maybe in a small cohort or group, to support the person appropriately. But then trying to find the jobs is a whole nother, you know, takes time, energy, resources. And, you know, that's not really the primary focus of a job coach. Their primary focus is really to prepare that person and make sure that, you know, they have the comprehensive skills, that they're able to, you know, try to do a preliminary resume, or maybe it's not going to be the traditional resume, maybe it's a virtual one, or a Skype or a FaceTime instead for an interview. But, you know, really that's where Edison kind of came in to help be that middle person, to help connect the people to the actual employers and to make sure that there are jobs available for people when they are job ready. So, you know, with that question, have you seen, Lori, you know, different age groups, different demographics of people and all types of disabilities? Can you review a little bit of that?
Sure, absolutely. So historically, I've worked actually as a contractor for Social Security for Ticket to Work for about 15 years. And just recently, in the last couple of years, moved to Easter Seals to help build up this employment network. But typically, historically, what we've seen is we've seen people try to re-enter into employment that have worked in the past and were, for whatever reason, unable to continue working due to their impairment and want to re-enter into the workforce. A lot of times they're not able to do the same types of work that they had done in the past. And so what we do is we help identify their current skill sets, what they need to do to possibly be able to re-enter, and to help them apply for those types of positions and prepare them for re-entering and explaining gaps within their resume, etc. We also see younger people who may be attempting to go to work for the very first time. The change in their life would be that they've discovered that as an adult receiving disability benefits and not having really worked in the past, that it's not really enough to live off of. And so sometimes these cases are a little more challenging because there isn't that work history. So we work very hard to find opportunities that that embrace people with disabilities, or that are considered Ability One contracts that are set apart specifically for people with disabilities. Again, we tap into what their interests are and what their strengths are, and any type of barriers that they have to best identify what they could possibly be successful with. We are all about making sure that somebody has an opportunity for meaningful employment. So we have, you know, so it's the re-entry into work, and it's also the very first time, and we treat everybody as an individual, and we address everyone's specific needs and meet them where they are. And if we have the resources to help them, we definitely accept their ticket and work with them on finding that employment and retaining that employment.
Okay. Thank you, Larry. I think maybe Pam, do you have a question that you'd like to ask? Do you want to unmute yourself?
Yes. Oh, I've got dogs barking and my son on a Zoom class, and so it's a little hectic here. So, Lori, do you provide any job support for people in particular with Down syndrome who would be working and need some kind of an aid that could potentially assist them doing the work, or are you really just preparing them to try to find the good skills match and have them ready for employment, like ongoing support besides the resume writing and things like that?
Okay, Pam, thank you. That's a great question. Right now, as we stand, as our primary focus is on helping people with disabilities find employment and retain employment. We have identified that there is a need for job coaches and for ongoing support physically within a program. And that is something that we're looking into in the future. We do not currently have those resources, but there are other organizations that do provide those types of services where people need additional on-site assistance in order to be able to complete their positions. And we have partnered with a lot of those companies and as an administrator of the Ticket to Work program. So that's the way we have started that. And we're looking into the future at possibly growing our department to include job coaching and that type of hands-on assistance with people. Right now, we have some bandwidth where we're able to assist some of our clients when they first start a job with the onboarding process or with their first day at work or just getting kind of acclimated to the work environment. I've been able to go on site and help people, but as far as a job coach's position, we don't currently have that, but that's something that we're looking forward to in the future.
Okay, and it is very much needed. My son has been out of school, worked through the local vendors here for jobs, and is just actually finishing up his 4th year at George Mason's Life program and will be re-entering the workforce. And I can tell you that there's a big gap, not only in that service, but in the qualification of the people who support our children. So appreciate anything you can do in that regard. Absolutely,
Pam, and I want to let you know that I am a partner with the Life program. That I've done a couple of panel presentations and a couple of presentations in order to connect with the graduates of the program and their parents to let them know a little bit more about the types of job opportunities that are available and about earnings and benefits, the impact of that, or applying for benefits, where sometimes people in that program may not even understand where what's available to them. And so I've discussed that as well as the Ticket to Work program. And so I've been able to reach out and I work with them on a regular basis. And I find that it's a great program, and I'm honored to be part of that.
It is. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Lori. And I will share also with Easter Seals, and I can speak for my centers. I didn't even share with everybody. I'm the Senior Director of Adult and Senior Services. And we've actually we've overlapped some things with different departments, such as the Edison program, where actually we will have folks that are not quite job ready, but are interested in volunteerism, and they have an outside support. And so we will end up doing an intake, and then they will come, for instance, to one of my centers and maybe help us out doing different volunteer tasks. The Child Development Center has also had some volunteers as well, along with their job coaches, to give them an actual place and environment to actually explore and to try different job skills. So we are open, to that as well. Sometimes access is a little bit difficult because we are located in Silver Spring, and for Northern Virginia, especially non-COVID time is a bear to navigate. But we are an opportunity and a site that could provide some volunteer opportunities. And so thanks so much, Lori. With that, I'm going to turn it over to David Muir, who is the Senior Vice President for the VSN, which is the Veteran Staffing Network.
Thanks, Liz. And thanks to all my colleagues who do such amazing work on a daily basis. So I am responsible for the Veteran Staffing Network. We're an innovative program that was created out of a recognized need that employment support services for veterans and their families had historically been funded by government dollars, and that came with restrictions on who could access employment support. So the program was created to be completely inclusive, excuse me, lining up with Easter Seals' core missions of developing inclusive programming. So we work with veterans, military spouses, caregivers of wounded warriors, members of the Guard and Reserve, pretty much anyone who's ever worn a uniform or supported someone, we want to help. So we have career coaches on staff. We also offer a job search training curriculum. Think of it as a training program almost. It's available online. We actually have an app in development to make it easier to access for our population. Very exciting. And then a big part of my job is going out and engaging employers who have an interest in hiring veterans and work with staffing services. So the front end that engages the commercial universe or the business-to-business universe, we act very much like a staffing firm. So if you've ever heard of hiring a temp and you're going to go to any one of a number of different firms out there, we engage the business community just like one of those firms. So we charge the business a fee for placement, either in an hourly role, which we'll call temp or contract, or as a direct hire role, headhunter. I'm a headhunter, right? No bone in my nose, though. One that's funny. All right, I saw a couple smiles. Thanks. And so again, we every time that we place somebody with a business and collect that fee, those monies come into the program. That's what helps to pay for our infrastructure. And this way, we pay for ourselves instead of having to go out and seek outside funds that really will put restrictions on who we can help and how we can help them. Since the program's inception, about 7.5 years ago, we have placed more than 2,600 men and women in work in 35 different states across the country. That has allowed us to coach more than 12,000 people all around the world, actually. We've worked with people in bases all around the world. And to my knowledge, the Veteran Staffing Network is the only program that's operated by an affiliate partner, being DC, Maryland, Northern Virginia, that actually has a national footprint. And that's because the people that we're working with travel all over the world, right? And so if we're helping somebody here and they relocate to somewhere else, USA, we're not going to leave them hanging, particularly if there's not veteran support services there.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Do we have any questions for David? Mary has a question. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Trying to get to my mute button. I just want to clarify. I think I know the answer to this question, but the work that you do is not the same, but similar to the work that Lori's program does, only Lori's program focuses on individuals with disabilities, and yours does not. Do you have a disability component to yours, or are you just helping military families in general?
We work with the military community. So if that means someone's got a disability from the military community, we'll work with them too.
Okay. So it's not specific to.
Right. So Lori's program actually was spun off based off of the success that we were seeing with the Veteran Staffing Network. We wanted to create the Disability Staffing Network. And so Lori's problem obviously has its own unique operational mechanics. Ticket to Work is not something that's involved, for example, in the Veteran Staffing Network, but same concept.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay, I guess it's my turn. So I have a question, David. What kind of jobs? Are we talking about all different kinds? Is there a specialty niche you guys have for jobs?
Well, we've placed people in a variety of different roles. Just there are very few jobs in the civilian marketplace that don't have a direct military correspondent, right? And more than 250,000 people leave the military every year. So we've placed program managers and project analysts to drivers to construction managers and IT people, you name it. Pretty much I would say the jobs that we don't place are scientists. I would say doctors, but we've placed a number of clinical therapists with our Cohen clinics across the country. So we've even placed doctors. So I would say, you know, unless they're highly specialized scientists or very specialized technical people, we've placed all kinds of stuff.
Okay. And then the name of the program is Veteran Staffing Network. Do you guys also support active military?
Yes, absolutely. So the name veteran can throw some people off, but if we have worked with a number of people who are still in uniform, who are wise enough to realize that their transition is coming up in 6 months, 8 months, a year from now, and they start engaging us because they want additional support beyond what they're receiving in the military. We also work with people who are still in uniform in the National Guard and Reserves, because those men and women oftentimes find themselves in need of employment support, particularly if they come back from a demobilization, if they are mobilized and then come back on a demob and their job is gone by the time they return home. So.
Okay, good. And I know, I mean, I think of the Edison program very similar in a way to VSN, in the sense that we work kind of with one another departmentally. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I know that VSN can work with Cohen, and, you know, there could be a client that receives, you know, multiple services from all departments. Do you see a lot of that? Are you able to support those clients?
Yes, we've got a number of stories of people who have gone through. And one thing that I failed to mention I should have is through the Veteran Staffing Network, we also manage a homeless veterans reintegration program, as well as an incarcerated veterans reintegration program. So as these men and women are facing homelessness, or they are in fact homeless, we can work with them to help get them connected for housing support. We're really focused more on the employment side of things. Incarcerated veterans, we're actually working with the veteran courts. Sometimes we're even helping to prevent a veteran from going in to incarceration because they're able to work with us and secure employment, but we're also helping them coming out. It's a very long answer to come back around to what Liz was saying. It's very common for us to have someone who comes to us that we find who may be facing homelessness, who we start to provide employment support to, realize they could use some mental health services, send them up to Cohen, they come back down to us, and then we get them placed. So it's a very cohesive organization we run when it comes to supporting military families.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. Excuse me, Liz and David, if I could just piggyback off of that. So I think that in what Liz was saying, that we certainly do have an overlap, that there are at times individuals who are part of the Homeless Veterans Reintegration Program, or VSN, who also have a disability and are eligible for a ticket to work, and we will work in concert with the other departments to provide comprehensive services so that they may be receiving help in finding a job and in preparing for a job, as well as in getting assistance in housing and other needs after they receive a job. So if they are a disabled veteran and they are eligible for Edison, then we will step in and provide our services in concert with any other department that is helping them as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lori. Okay. Well, we've heard a lot about Easter Seals, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I'm really, really happy that I have such an awesome colleagues throughout these departments. We have a lot of very highly skilled people, a lot of subject matter experts. I want to thank the Down Syndrome Association of Northern Virginia for this time and being able to share what Easter Seals really in our area can provide. And hopefully there's a little bit of an educational opportunity. We're welcome and open to more questions. If you have any more, we will certainly take them and answer them, or individual questions about particular cases that's maybe not appropriate for this venue.
Okay, those of us who at DSA and V at Easter Seals have been very open with asking questions. I'd like to invite those of you who dialed in. Hope we didn't mean to monopolize the conversation. So if anybody who hasn't spoken yet, if you've got a question on your mind or something else you'd like to know, please unmute and let us know. Anybody? Okay, well, so in addition to those of us who dialed in today, have a chance to hear what you have to say and learn more about your programs and ask questions, we have also recorded the session and we are going to post it on our website. We have a community resources page, and we appreciate you reaching out to us to suggest that we do this format. I think it's a good idea. Certainly, no one nonprofit can provide all the support or services that an individual or given family need. So it's wonderful that we can work together to share information and best practices where we have overlap, all that sort of stuff.
Mary, on this page that you guys have, since this is recorded, is there going to be contact information that we can share on your page?
Yes, we can. We'll provide a point of contact, a link to your website.
Okay.
Absolutely, so that as our members or people with interest in supports for people with Down syndrome in Northern Virginia, as they look on our website and they can see there are, ARC organizations at multiple levels. There's, we work close in the same building with the Autism Society of Northern Virginia. So yes, so as people have, and especially you know, we don't have it so much employment related, very limited right now. So we'd be very happy to, you know, share that, put people in touch with your organization so they can get that support if they need it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
So very welcome. Anything else you'd like to say, or by way of wrap up, or?
I don't think so. I really appreciate the opportunity. On behalf of all of our colleagues and all of the awesome folks I work with at Easter Seals, thank you. We really appreciate this partnership and being able to share more information. I'm really, for my own programs, I'm really, it's too bad that we are not serving in Virginia right now. You know, we would really like to. And, you know, I think that hopefully we can continue to collaborate. And if there's anything else that we can do, just let us know.
Thank you very much. We'd appreciate that.